Welcome to the Niagara Falls, Canada, your guide. This section involves preparing for your trip, travel, how to get here, weather conditions, and currency. Unless you're within driving distance of Niagara Falls, chances are you'll be flying. You've got two choices. You've got Toronto International Airport, also called Pearson Airport, and Buffalo International Airport. Buffalo Airport is actually closer, and then you've got to cross the border to come into Canada, or if you're flying into Toronto, obviously you already be in Canada. And either way, I would definitely recommend renting a car at the airport. There's a few places to rent in Niagara Falls, but not that many. If you're coming from Canada or Toronto, obviously the border is not an issue. If you're coming from Buffalo Airport or you're driving in from the U.S., currently today you do not need a passport. This is February 09, but I believe in June you will need a passport to cross the border. So be sure to check before you leave. Make sure you have all the documentation you need to cross the border. If you're coming in, you've got four choices for bridges, but it's really three. You've got the Buffalo Fort Erie, which is the Peace Bridge, which is south. You've got the Rainbow Bridge, which is right in Niagara Falls. There's also the Lower Whirlpool Bridge in Niagara Falls, but that is for Nexus people only. Unless you have that, you cannot take that bridge. And there's a bridge to the north, a little further north, the Queenston-Lewiston Bridge, which is also available. So you got pretty much three bridges to choose from. And once again, be sure to check, see if you need a passport. Okay, I got a bit of a zoom in here. You can see, you can't really see it here. The next map will be better. The falls are basically at the very bottom of that picture in the Niagara River there at the very bottom. That yellow bridge going across near the bottom is the Rainbow Bridge. And the very top, that is the Queenston-Lewiston Bridge crossing. Chances are you'll be coming across the Rainbow Bridge. Most people do if they're crossing from the States. So that'll be the bridge you're probably going to be looking at. Okay, this is the same map, but a satellite view now. At the very bottom, you can see the little white section there. I probably should have slid it up a bit, but that's the Horseshoe Falls or the Canadian Falls. And then right on the border there, where it says Ontario, New York at the bottom there, that is the American Falls. It's kind of covered over by the word New York there. But I'll zoom in a little more in the next one. You can get a closer look, but you can get a feel for kind of the layout there of Niagara Falls. Okay, this one's zoomed in a little more. You can see the Horseshoe Falls or Canadian Falls there. It's that whitish area. That's the mostly the mist from the water going over the falls. And a little further up there, just north of Goat Island, that's the American Falls. So those are the two. I'll be getting into more details on those in another video. And you can see the bridge crossing there, that yellow line crossing. That is the Rainbow Bridge, which is definitely the most popular one as far as crossing the border. I should mention there are websites to give you bridge wait times if you're coming in. Obviously, if you're flying, you won't be able to check it, but if you can check it or call someone to have them check the wait times, you just do a search for Niagara Falls bridge wait times. I'm sure it'll be one of the first hits. They tell you how long the bridges are. As far as during peak seasons, you can wait sometimes an hour. And so obviously if you can save that time by just going to one of the other bridges, I strongly recommend that. It can definitely save you some time there by avoiding sitting there at the bridge. And like I said, that's mostly for coming from the States. If you're coming from Canada, chances are you'll be on the QEW, the Queen Elizabeth Way. And the vast majority of people take the 420, Highway 420, which is at the top of that picture into Niagara Falls. The QEW is that orangey line on the left there. It's not labeled, unfortunately. And from that you take the 420 exit either way if you're coming from the Buffalo side or from the Toronto side, and you take 420. And it ends at Stanley, and from there you have choices. You can choose to go straight. You'll come to a stoplight at Stanley there. The highway actually ends. You can continue straight down Robert Street. It does get a little busy, especially if it's a weekend. There could be people lined up to actually cross the border back into the States. So at that point, I'd probably recommend making a right on Stanley, and chances are your hotel is going to be down there anyway, or your hotel is going to be along Lundy's Lane. I'll have another section on hotels, but certainly if you're on the Canadian side, take the 420. It's most people do. You can take the Lundy's Lane exit off of the QEW. That's another option. If you do take the 420 down, I would turn right at Stanley. That's where most stuff is. You could go straight, but it does get a little busy there. Certainly that's up to you guys. If you got a GPS, it'd save you even more time. And that's pretty much it for getting here. I'll move on to weather, currency, and other stuff. Alright, a brief talk about the weather here in Niagara Falls. Despite the fact we're in Canada, it does not snow all the time, and we're not living in igloos. It does get quite warm in the summer. Mid to upper 20s is not unusual, plus humidity. It does get quite warm. I would bring shorts, t-shirts in the summertime. In the winter, it does get chilly. We get the buffalo weather. For those that have seen on the news, we just don't get their snow. Chances are most of you will be coming in the summer, so I would definitely wear summer clothes, shorts, t-shirts, and then check the forecast probably the day before you leave. Go to the weathernetwork.com. They got a good 14-day forecast out, or Environment Canada. They both have good long-range forecasts, but it does get quite warm here in the summer, so pack accordingly. Okay, moving on to currency. You're coming to Canada. You'll be using Canadian money. I'd strongly recommend probably changing your currency where you are now, especially if you're in the U.S. You may want to get Canadian money before you come. Virtually any place in Niagara Falls will take U.S. dollars. That's pretty much a given. The only thing is you may not get the best exchange rate at the time. Right now our dollar's worth about 80 cents, 85 cents U.S. right now. It fluctuates all the time. But a lot of places may give you 70 cents on the dollar. I've seen as low as 65. I mean, this fluctuates, so it's not a steadfast rule. But I would get Canadian currency before you leave. Like I say, you can use U.S. currency. They'll take it anywhere. You just may not get the best exchange rate. In Canada, we've got it's pretty much the same coins as the U.S. has. The penny, the nickel, the dime, the quarter. Ignore that 50-cent piece. The only picture I could find. Then we have the dollar coin, also called the loonie, because there's a picture of a loon on it. And we've got a $2 coin, which is called the toonie, because we couldn't come up with a better name. So as far as no more $1 bill and $2 bill, we have $1 coin and $2 coin. And loonie and toonie are pretty much the accepted name for those. And then we have our bills. Same as the U.S., the $5 bill, 10, 20, 50, 100. A lot of places may not take a 50 or 100, so stick to maybe 20s. They're nice and color coded. A lot of people seem to not like it. They call it funny money, whatever. But we certainly like the colored money. You can easily look in your wallet and see what you got. You see green, you got a 20. You see the purple, you got a 10. You see blue, you got a 5. So that's the money you'll need. Canadian currency. Obviously, places take Visa, MasterCard, all that stuff. We've got ATM machines, all that's going on. But I would definitely have some Canadian cash before you go. And just be sure to call it a loonie and a toonie, and you'll fit right in. That ends the Niagara Falls Canada Your Guide part on preparing, travel, weather, currency. Quick overview there. You'll be flying either Buffalo or Toronto, your two choices. If you're coming to the U.S., you'll have to cross one of the 3 bridges unless you have Nexus, and then you have 4 bridge choices. In the summer, like I say, it does get quite warm and humid. And as far as cash, you'll be using Canadian money. I'd get some Canadian money before you leave. But any place in the Canadian side will take U.S. money. You just may not get the best exchange rate. And thanks for listening, and hopefully you'll pick out one of the other parts.